Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video. We are at 34.8k subscribers. Can we get to 35k by the end of the month and continue our journey and war onto beating the big bad LTE? Please like this video down below and subscribe to the channel before we get started. Yesterday I did the 3 seats most likely to flip from blue to red. Today I'm going to be doing the 5 seats most likely to flip into the Democrat column from the Republican column. So I'm basically going to be saying, here's what Republicans need to do in order to hold the Senate, because Democrats are going to be coming full force. This is not an easy map. Yes, it's possible Republicans can have a net gain at the end of the day, and I do not see the Democrats winning the Senate right now. However, there is 5 seats the Democrats are going to try to flip, and there's potentially some other ones. I'm not going to be talking about Montana. Yes, there was an internal poll that had Bullock over Daines. It's not going to hold. Statewide races are different than nationalized Senate elections. Iowa, there's not really a candidate there that's going to make it competitive. Kentucky and West Virginia probably aren't going to flip unless we see intense polling. Then we can discuss those 2 states, but otherwise I don't think that they are a big problem for Republicans. Georgia as well, I'm not going to be talking about Georgia because it looks like from right now I do believe that Perdue will win by a likely margin, and the other election there, the special election, that is probably going to be won by Doug Collins. All the polling we've seen shows him up, and potentially having him and Loeffler have a runoff, which might not be a good thing because that means Loeffler probably wins instead of Collins. I would rather have Collins beat a Democrat, but at the same time, I don't believe that the election is really at risk of being lost by the Republican Party. So I'm not going to be mentioning that, but we do have 5 seats to talk about, and we're going to start with Colorado. Colorado is potentially a seat that can flip into the Democrat column. Obviously, if you look at John Hickenlooper, he would be a standard well candidate to defeat a guy who barely won in a red wave year in a state that is trending blue in Cory Gardner. Cory Gardner does have more suburban appeal than somebody like Donald Trump has. He's really neck and neck in the fundraising game. So obviously, I think it's going to actually be a lot closer than what people think. I actually do believe Gardner has a chance, and it could be a toss-up if Hickenlooper loses his primary. Again, he's running against a Bernie bro in a Bernie bro state, so you have to watch out for that. He lost the caucus, and now he has to go for a primary. And chances are he'll win the primary, but it's not really for certain. So Colorado probably will be a flip at the end of the day. I think most people know that, just like Alabama will be a flip. Although Colorado could stay in the Republican column. In a best-case scenario for Republicans, it would. Honestly, Colorado is not going to be a state that Biden's going to win by like 12 points like some of the leftist so-called experts are saying. Probably, if anything, he would win it by like 4. So it's going to be a contentious Senate race. I don't think Republicans should put a whole lot of eggs there unless it really looks like it's going to be competitive down the stretch. Otherwise, I very well could see Gardner end up winning in a really rare scenario, but there's probably a 20% chance that he holds his seat, and that will be bumped up to around 50% if the Bernie bro candidate wins. So there you go for that. Colorado right now, it's in the blue column in the potential flip scenario. So the second seat Democrats are going to try to flip, and honestly, this might not happen. I'm not saying it will. Right now, it's more likely than not that the state of Arizona actually does flip. Again, Martha McSally, she's not popular. She's not that much of a Republican, if we're going to be honest. She's just not that great of a candidate. Martha McSally in the state of Arizona, and she lost, and then she got appointed. That's not a good thing. If you lose once, that means you're pretty bad. If you get appointed and lose again, that means you're really bad. So the fact that she got appointed alone is a joke. And the seat will be up for re-election 2 years from now. So if Mark Kelly can get ousted by a good Republican, so many right-leaning independents might say, okay, I'm just going to vote for Mark Kelly because they don't like Martha McSally. Now, Mark Kelly is running to the right of Sinema, and so far in the polls, he's doing fairly well. Now, Mark Kelly is pretty left-wing on guns. That could be his Achilles heel. And that could be what helps McSally win at the end of the day. But at the same time, the polling doesn't look so good. Even though when you weight the polls, it's a much closer game. It's honestly, I believe Kelly will win by like 2%. I also think Trump will win by 1 to 2% when it's all said and done. But definitely it's one of these seats that Republicans need to watch so they don't lose at the end of the day. So the third seat on this list is none other than North Carolina. Now, the polling right now has it neck and neck, which is good for Republicans because North Carolina early polls always usually overestimate the Democrats. And what it shows is that Thom Tillis and Cale Cunningham are neck and neck. Right now it says Cunningham has a slight edge, but you have many undecideds, and we know how the early polls work out of the state of North Carolina. I think Thom Tillis will hold. Again, he's not too popular with the Trump group, but at the same time, Trump is pushing for him hard. That's probably going to help him win in the state of North Carolina. That's probably going to give him the leg up. So it's going to be a very close state to watch. Again, if Trump wins by 2 or more, I think that Tillis is going to win. If Trump loses the state of North Carolina, I would expect Cale Cunningham to win, but I don't see that happening. But it's definitely not a state where you must be complacent in. This is definitely one of those states where you got to go, you got to get out and vote because it's very, very important that Tillis will hold, and Cunningham is definitely right on his tail. It's not going to be an easy election for Tillis, but I think he will hold the seat, but it's not going to necessarily be easy. So there you go. That's the third state I believe will potentially flip. I don't believe it will flip. The third state that Republicans have to hold. It's the states they have to hold, the states that will actually be competitive. The fourth state on this list is none other than Maine. Now, Susan Collins is not necessarily the most popular senator right now like she was probably 5 years ago in the state of Maine. She voted for Kavanaugh and voted against impeachment. Now, a lot of people are saying, oh, that means that she is some sort of partisan individual. At the same time, she still has a lot of bipartisan accomplishments to tout from the Democrat perspective. Besides, it's not like she didn't vote to confirm all of Obama's Supreme Court nominations. So she basically can use that as a buffer, and that's going to help her in the long run. So I do believe that she'll probably win because Maine is becoming more competitive. I think Trump is going to actually have a horse in the race to win the state of Maine at large, and that's going to help Collins because the Trump voters are going to come aboard for Collins, and she still has enough independent appeal to win. It's not going to be as much as what she won by back in 2008, where she ran like 30 points ahead of John McCain or so. But she definitely will have a chance to win, and I do believe that she will win. But it's going to be by a much narrower margin. She'll probably run, I'm going to say 7 to 8 points ahead of Donald Trump in the state of Maine. And we'll have to see at the end of the day. I personally think if Trump loses Maine by 3, which is a reasonable estimate, she'll win Maine by 4. If he loses Maine by 6, she'll win Maine by 1, possibly greater than that. I think she's going to win by a lean margin. I'm not going to be one of those people that's going to write her off already, just based off of one odd poll that is 6 to 7 months away from the general election. We have to wait and see, but it's definitely something that Republicans should not ignore. It's something that Republicans should actually try to defend, unlike in years past. So that's that from the state of Maine. So Republicans right now have a potential to lose the Senate 48 to 52. I don't believe they will, but they have a potential to do so. And the last seat on here, the last seat on this list, is actually a surprising one. It's the state of Kansas. Republicans are going to have to actually put energy into holding the Kansas Senate race. That is if Chris Kobach is the nominee. I do believe Trump can carry Kobach because it is a national election, unlike what it was in 2016, but it's going to go down the wire. Definitely Chris Kobach was not popular because of the Brownback administration and his stances on immigration. Personally, I think his stances on immigration are just fine. I think a lot of the boomer conservatives are just a little too afraid to say what some of them are actually thinking, or they're too dumb to actually think the right things on some of these issues. But obviously, the tax cuts weren't that popular, despite the fact that I can show you the data. I can actually show you the fact that they actually spurred growth in the Kansas City metro area in particular. Unemployment dropped. Everything was great, but it didn't get the revenue that was exactly desired because of extraneous factors. So basically from that, the Democrats are able to use their weapon known as the media and try to make the Brownback administration look terrible, despite the fact that the tax cuts actually worked contrary to popular belief of many, even Kansan Republicans that actually don't believe it. That's kind of how the George Orwell-style media works in this country, and that's kind of sad. So Kobach should win, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tight race, and he might not get the nomination. And if that's the case, Republicans won't have to worry about Kansas. So I'd like to see Kobach in the Senate, but if honestly, I would rather have Roger Marshall win the nomination if it meant that it wasn't super competitive. So it's kind of one of those, back and forth type of things. So it's a curse and a blessing at the same time. But anyways, guys, that's really it. There's 5 seats they got to defend: Kansas, Colorado, Arizona in the West, North Carolina, and Maine in the East. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. Let's get to 35K. Hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. Join the Discord and subreddit. Donate to the Patreon and subscribe. Star links in description. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.